I've been reviewing Phoibos watches for quite a while now, probably 7 or 8 years, and I've pretty much liked every single one that they've sent me over. I really like their design style, not a homage of anything, but I have to say this is the first one that I'm not quite sure about. There's a couple of little design choices they've made on this one in particular that I think we definitely have to go through. I did pick this dial color. There is different dial colors that are available, but I thought I bet I'm the only reviewer that requested this dial color. It's growing on me. I have to say it is growing on me. So thanks for the team over at Phoibos to send this over. We'll review it. I'll give my opinion, but as most important with all of these, let me know your opinion at the end of this. Let's flip the camera around and we'll dive straight in. Comes in one of their great travel cases. If you're a Phoibos fan from a few years ago, and I guess I've been reviewing them for about 7 years, they had a really weird box, but glad to see that they've gone with a very functional travel case. 2-year warranty. You can definitely get an extra strap in there. Here is the watch. Let's pull it out. Let's just quickly go over the stats. It's a 300-meter dive watch, 40-millimeter case, 48 millimeters from lug to lug, and just slightly over 11 millimeters in thickness there, which I think is pretty good for a 300-meter dive watch. We've got this geometric case with polishing and brushed elements down the side, screw-down crown with the Phoibos logo, and then we have this really nice solid bracelet that comes with it. Screw in links. We have a nice machined clasp, and then we do have a push button on the fly micro adjust. It's not the smoothest, I would say, out of all of the ones that we've reviewed, but it is functional. You can't adjust it on the wrist. You actually do have to take the watch off to adjust it, but you can get that on the fly micro adjust. Sapphire crystal, 3 layers of anti-reflective coating. The lume on here, as with most Phoibos watches, is awesome. We've got 15 layers of super luminova BGW9 on the hands, and then it appears to be solid lume on the 12, 3, 9 o'clock positions, and then there is a cheeky bit of lume on the bezel as well. We've got the date at the 6 o'clock position, although it is a little bit smaller than I'd like to see. It does have that circle surround. The hands are highly legible. They're flat, brushed, plenty of lume so that you can see them in the dark or when you're diving, and then we have the second hand as well that also features lume. King Octopus logo on the dial printed, and of course I had to go with this one because I bet you this is the most controversial color of all, and that is because this is a pink, salmon pink dial. The dial isn't matte, it does have a grain texture to it, so it does mute the pink ever so slightly, but I think this was certainly a bold choice by Phoibos to make a pink dial dive watch. Of course, there's multiple other colors as well. There is even a black coated case. Bracelet is a H-link bracelet, fully brushed, very solid, not a lot of jangle in it. Pretty good to see that on a watch that's coming in at around $470. It does have a quick release bracelet on here, so very easy to remove and put your own strap. This certainly would look awesome on a rubber strap. They always used to use the NH35A movement, which is a good solid movement, but I'm really glad to see that they've started putting Miyota movements in these now, and this one features the Miyota 9015, and you can see all the specs of the movement here. The watch is coming in at around 180 grams with its included bracelet. Let's put it on the wrist so you can get an idea of what it looks like. Nice, solid push button deployant with the King Octopus logo. If I move it round, because of that thin height for a 300-meter dive watch, just over 11 millimeters, and the fact that it is very nicely balanced towards the back, this is a very comfortable watch. Again, my wrist is 7.2 inches. I find it to be a very comfortable wear. So let's just go over some of the highlights of this watch. Of course, we've got that BGW9, which is a great highlight. The very good machining, as we can see here. The meeting between the bracelet and the case makes it almost look like it's integrated. The crowns are always nicely proportioned. Brushing is always done to a high standard, and of course we have sapphire crystal. Okay, so I mentioned at the start there is a few quirky things about this watch, and one design choice that I'm not crazy about, I have to say. So we talked about the case being a 48mm from lug to lug, but if we go to the side profile, even though these links look like the female end links, they don't articulate at the case. If we move it onto the side, you'll see that they do protrude quite a lot. If I pull the calipers out, switch them on, and then we'll show the 48-ish millimeters that they are quoting on the website. But if we go to those outer protruding lugs, it goes up to, look, a whopping nearly 58 millimeters. So if you do have a smaller wrist, that is something that you're definitely going to have to take into account. That's almost G-Shock proportions. So bear that in mind. This bezel is a 12-sided dodecagon is what the internet is telling me. So that's a 12-sided polygon essentially. And this does have grips on it, but also brush parts. And because the case is almost also geometric shaped, it's quite hard to grip. You can't grip it from the sides here. You can't really grip it from there because the case is protecting it. You can just about get it from these sides here. So I imagine that would be very difficult to do if you were diving with this watch and you were using neoprene gloves. Also, when we have it at that 12 o'clock position, there's no play in it. But when we have it at that 12 o'clock position, the smooth side of the bezel is towards the side of the case that you do have to articulate it from. So your hands do slip on it. Maybe that would be an advantage. Maybe if you were using this for diving, you would just set it to the 15-minute dive time or whatever, and you wouldn't have to worry too much about knocking it. I mean, no, I know divers most days they have dive computers, but I guess they wouldn't knock it either. But unfortunately, if you're a chronic bezel fidgeter like I am, this isn't that satisfying. I love fidgeting with my dive watch bezels, certainly more than I do use them for timing, and this one just isn't as satisfying. When I first got this watch and started wearing it, this was very stiff. It has suppled up. Like I say, you can move it. It's just not perhaps as satisfying as some of the other Phoibos watches that we've seen. $470. They make these in Hong Kong. There is a 20% discount, I think, running at the moment. But even for the $470, to have that Miyota 9015 movement in there, all of the lume, the sapphire crystal, nicely machined bracelet on here, on the fly quick adjust with that push button deploying. I think it's a pretty good deal. More importantly, what did you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, love it if you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the bell notification, and I'll see you all next time on Casual Watch Reviews.